Dude, Fusco, all you were missing is if you had a giant wooden stick with a hole in it and you're like...
Exactly.
The whole time, man.
That would have been cool.
That would have been
Why didn't I
nice.
think of that? Where's our giant stick with a hole in it, Josh?
Oh, it's in the bathroom where it always is, Fusco. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Channer Rant podcast. My name is Josh. With me, as always, is my bearded co-host, Mr. Andy Fuco.
That's me.
And if you didn't know, we're going to use some salty language today. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds to listen to something else. I would highly recommend the most recent episode of the Big Rab Show podcast, because that was thoroughly entertaining.
Yes, it was the best one ever.
It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fuck!
Gentlemen, do you want to say it?
What? Fuck?
There you go.
Listeners can review the show on iTunes. You can send us emails and voicemails to be played on air. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or if you're Australian, Snapchat. Check out the Chanter Rant store at chanterrant.com. And this show, as all shows are, brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/chanterrant. All you cheap fucks watching right now for free on Facebook. If you want to see this every week, $5 a month.
It's all it takes.
It's almost...
Listen, man.
Slightly more than a beer at the Huntridge Tavern.
Listen, I feel strongly about this. We talk about the Patreon way too often.
Yeah, is this based on Rab Show?
Rab Show got the worst hate mail about his Patreon rates.
Fuco, why don't you introduce our illustrious and lovely guests for today?
Well, first off, we have back from I can't believe he decided to come back, but our old friend Trevor from California decided to come back and talk about...
Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years.
He's been waiting in the wings for his moment, and this is it, Trevor. And then, of course, we have the world famous and especially Southwest America famous.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Shaw, the lead... What would your title be, Aaron? Wicked Tinker, creator,
Head
producer...
tinker?
Head
I'll
tinker?
go with creator. That's fine.
Yeah, that works.
Since the others have dropped off.
A great inspiration to many pipers on the West Coast, I think.
And also, I think, potentially my real biological father.
I'm going to call Tori later. Find out.
Could be.
Well, there was that time back...
that one time.
when Tori used to follow around the Tinkers back in the 70s.
The timelines do line up.
Oh, that's funny.
So, gentlemen, we're very excited to have you on for our annual 4th of July episode. We call it annual because it happens once every year. Aptly titled America Fuck Yeah Part 2.
Yeah, this is the special episode where we just talk about all great things that is America.
Basically, yeah, once a year
the best in the
around
world.
the 4th of July, we try to focus on American piping and suck our own dicks a little.
Absolutely. Because we are the greatest country in the world. In everything except for COVID.
No, we're number one.
Piping.
We're number
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
We're number one at being bad at it.
We're number one in COVID, baby.
That's true.
We are not to be outdone. But yes, so we decided to bring you two on for today's episode, and because our topic is kind of looking at American piping, and who better than a world champion pipe major such as Mr. Trevor Takahashi here, who we had on last week and wouldn't let him talk about the Worlds because we were trying to save it for today. And world-renowned, not only competitor, instructor, but performer, Mr. Aaron Shaw.
Absolutely.
So we're going to ask you guys a bunch of questions about why you think American piping is either awesome or shite.
But first, before we get to that,
Before we get there,
Either
we are going to... It could be both, I suppose.
yeah,
I
it could be
mean,
both. There's definitely examples of both.
we do have a few news and updates we're going
Hold
to
on.
roll.
Tune in August 12th. You'll see examples of both.
I'm about to say, yeah, you'll see one example of each for sure. I don't know which one's going to be which.
I don't know either. It could go either way.
But we do have our raffle winner for July. Those of you who have been listening to the show for a while know we brought back our Patreon raffle. That is a free t-shirt for one patron picked at random. If you already won, go fuck yourself. You're not going to get it again. And this month's winner is the one, the only Mr. John Van Dickface.
Oh, my God. John Van Dickface. And this is a weird coincidence, but he actually won. I promise I didn't set this up.
No. We're from Vegas. We run a legit rap.
Got to, right? Absolutely. So, congratulations, John Van Dickface.
Congrats.
You're amazing. And
pick a shirt.
Yeah, man. Shoot us an email at channerant.com@gmail.com. Tell me your size and your address and what shirt you want.
And we're going to send it to you, yeah. It's fantastic news, and I'm going to assume one of the larger sizes because I saw him at the Patreon happy hour.
Yes.
He's a good-sized man.
Big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very Scottish looking.
I think he fell asleep at one point during the Patreon happy hour.
Who could tell?
But just so you guys know, we also do our Patreon happy hour every July, and I'm going to talk about Patreon the first 5 minutes of the show just to piss off everyone that wrote into Rad's show.
I'm going to send him a voicemail.
Yeah. I had one plan that was just going to be all bleeps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and thank you. We had some new people that joined, probably because Trevor was on and they didn't know how to join and watch it without paying, so we appreciate that.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
But yeah, Fusco, that's our first two, right? For news and updates. We don't have very many news and updates. We got a bunch of emails. We're not going to read them because we want to get as much time as we can with these lovely gents.
What the hell was that?
It was a radio. I don't know.
Okay. There was two things I want to get to real quick before we move on. One was a message about the Trevor episode, which I think is really important.
Okay.
And do you want to read it?
No, is it in here?
Yeah. Or I can read it if you want.
I don't have the message. I just have message number 4 message.
Well,
yeah.
So it says this. I have heard. I asked this gentleman. He was writing to me via Facebook, and he said, are you aware of us? He said, good show. Blah blah blah. He said this. I have heard excerpts and had heard of your show before, but to be quite honest, I didn't sample more of your show till this past weekend because you had Trevor on the show. It is speaking to you as a musician who is also a person of color who had to overcome adversity playing the instrument that we do. You had someone on your show that I identified with and who looks like me based on the subject matter. I have to say, in my experience, there's been no one in our activity that has addressed the subject like you guys did this past weekend, so now you guys have gotten my attention. Heroes, baby.
Nailed it.
You're welcome.
We're officially social justice warriors.
Yes, we are.
Nice. Well, now I'm going to have to listen.
Now back to your regularly scheduled dick jokes.
Yes. We will be very offensive this show because last week we were
So,
very
Fusco, if you jizz on a turd, do you call it a frosted turd?
We're about to find out today when we talk to our guests. Let's ask them that question in about 3 minutes. Yeah. Be ready. Be ready with your question.
Sorry, we have a rule here at the Chanarant podcast. We can only do 2 good episodes
in a row.
Yeah.
Then we got to go to.
Then we just got to go. We just got to go horrible. That's just the way it works, you know.
Speaking of complete nonsense, I have a voicemail from Camille Aussie Broad.
Aussie Osbroad.
Yes.
All right.
So,
superb.
If you guys remember last week, I came to the show. 1, very late. 2, insanely hungover.
You were disgusting, and here's the thing that makes me proud, though. You fucking tied one on again. Yeah, like that was impressive. I mean, like you were pretty good throughout the episode, but by the ending of the episode, Trevor, you can vouch on this. You were fucking trashed, boy.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was just like I fucking love you, man. I fucking love you, Trevor. I fucking miss you, man. Like,
was this true?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, I get very lovey when I'm hammered. But
it was very entertaining.
Oh, that's good. At least, if nothing else, I'm entertained.
Are you entertained?
So anyway, I asked Aussie Broad to tell the story of what happened because I actually don't remember it.
Oh, of you,
why this happened?
And she texted me some details, but I will wait and hear it in her words.
Yes, here we go.
G'day, boys. Today, instead of the usual Aussies Corner, I thought I might instead recap the unfortunate series of events that led to a predictably late Fusco looking a bit green around the gills on last week's show. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen him that dusty. At one point, I was even worried he was going to redecorate Chantarant Studios in a delightful palette of Technicolor yawn. So, let me enlighten you to the view of the Dojo Happy Hour from the Australian side of that Zoom looking glass. So since this idea kicked off a month or so ago, the post-class sesh has been getting a bit more ridiculously long each week, to the point that they now sometimes go on for longer than a pea-brock in a busy pub. Last week, however, was beyond a joke. At the starting line, we had a strong field of around 16 of the finest fellow piping-afflicted folks from around the globe, and some sparkling conversation and impromptu tunes on random instruments ensued, but as the hours wore on, the numbers slowly whittled down as they do, until only 2 contenders remained. One, as you've probably guessed by now, was me, and the other was an absolutely munted Foucault, who after a skinful of the better part of a bottle of whiskey had well and truly possessed Fusco by this point. Conversation had devolved by this stage, as you can imagine, and as all good parties do, into drunkenly screaming along to 80s power ballads. However, as the call ticked over to the 8-hour mark, I want you to picture what I could see. Eyes closed, fists clenched, lost in the chorus of a different, much more famous Aussie, feeling that vibe all the way down to his soul. And that bearded head which had been passionately bopping along in time, was starting to slow down, getting ever more behind the beat, until a final spasmodic nod or two gave way to his head just hanging still, as he somewhat bafflingly still sat upright in his chair. Out cold. But just as I thought the show was over, there was movement at the station. That gently slumping gent had started to shift to one side, and I thought maybe he was rallying. How wrong I was. Nope, the Leaning Tower of Pisshead instead just slid unconsciously and ever so gracefully off his chair to land with a loud thump on the floor. For an awkward moment, my slightly more than tipsy brain panicked about having to figure out how to call an ambulance in a foreign country, until a gentle snore from off screen reassured me that he'd made it into his night's resting place safely, if probably a little bit sorely. So I said goodbye to nobody and ended the call before I settled in for an early night, only to wake up bright and bubbly on a Sunday morning after a full night's rest, fully hydrated, and chalking up yet another session of drinking Mr. Andrew Fusco quite literally under the table. Isn't living in the future wonderful? Cheers, boys. Oh, not you, Andy. Jesus. Give your liver a rest, for God's sake, mate. Happy American.
So, yeah, she texted me a very similar story about you passing out with just the two of you left on the end of the Zoom call. My one question is, was the power ballad "You're the voice you understand"?
It was not. No, it was like American power ballads.
Oh, okay.
I believe I was really involved in. I can't think of that. Who cares?
So, we have two men of the world here. Aaron, you teach. I'm certain you're teaching mostly over video calls now. Does anyone drunkenly just fall asleep and fall off their chair mid-practice?
I have not had that happen yet, surprisingly.
I'm willing to bet, though, Aaron
not so far.
has
There's still time.
drunkenly fallen out of a chair before. Have you ever done this?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Only once while judging.
In a lesson.
Not during a lesson, just in general, just in life.
In life, sure. Well, sure. Who hasn't, really?
Yeah, you've inherited your father's superpower of just falling asleep. Like, you just go out.
I absolutely have.
Like the week before that, was it after the episode last week or was it the week before where you fell asleep on my couch? And I was like, I'm just gonna let him sleep this one off and then like take him home.
I have no idea. I never remember any of these things.
Gee, I wonder why. I wonder what makes you remember less.
Listen, man, these are difficult times. It's very difficult out there, as we'll get into here. And what else do you got to do besides drink yourself to a stupor?
Superb.
I could be practicing, I suppose, but
yeah, I mean, you got an important contest coming up.
I know I do. Because we got the big Chanarant
yeah,
showdown.
We got Chanarant fight night, baby. It's me versus Andy. 2 men, 2 pipes, 1 rubber penis, 1 bottle of whiskey. Winner take all.
We got 3 world-class judges and us 2 idiots.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All I gotta do is make sure Doogie likes my grips.
That's all you gotta do. Get the grips right.
Otherwise, the last grip Doogie feels will be my grip.
The grip of your hand around his neck. So anyway, thanks Ozzy Broad for sharing that story and embarrassing me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always fun.
I've never done that before, but I woke up in my bed. I will confirm. I don't know how I got there, but I did wake up in my bed. Started on the floor, headed into bed.
Fusco, if you ever decided to become a vigilante, you would have the best cover, because someone would be like, "Wait, you just randomly woke up in your bed? You blacked out at 9, and you woke up in your bed, and you have no idea how these robbers were stopped?" It's like,
my superhero vigilante name would be
Blackout.
Blackout.
It's like, what do you think, Sarge? Could this be the work of Blackout? Considering the amount of Taco Bell vomited over there in the corner, Lieutenant, I think so.
Oh, Jesus.
Cool. Well, anyway, gentlemen, the reason we didn't want to get in, we do have some emails and stuff we're going to get into at a different episode, but fuck all that shit. We're not talking about them today. We're talking about America. America!
Because that's what's really important. America, right?
Yeah.
It's a very loud eagle. Jesus Christ. Gotta give me some fucking warning, dude. My dog barked at that one. But yeah, so, okay. I want to get right into it. So, Trevor, we just edged the entire last episode we had you on, it was all edging about the Worlds because we wanted to talk to you about it. We want to talk to you about the win. We want to talk to you about the process of like, you know, from 0 to 10. Hey, I got to convince these motherfuckers that we should all put our money into going to Scotland, and we probably will get slapped. And then we didn't. So now's the time.
Yeah, I want to hear the whole process. Very detailed and boring. All
Yes.
the way through.
I want a list.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Where did the planning start? Wait, which year did you win? 2019, right?
The 2018.
2018.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that was a
So
long
yeah,
time
I
ago.
mean, God, I don't know if we can fit it all in this episode, but I think
That's okay. We're going to interrupt you with dick jokes at random intervals and then
Perfect.
quiz Aaron.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it basically was like a bit over a year out. We kind of decided, and by we, I mean mostly me going to, you know, our leadership and saying, I think we should make this push for 2018. Like, is everybody on board? You know, like, it was just a thing of, you know, we have the right group, we have the right people, we have all the proper support, I think. And, you know, everyone's like, but what about the money? What about the money? And it's always like, well, that's why I'm talking to you, you know, a year and a half beforehand so that we can sort all of the logistics out and figure out how we're going to make it happen. But truthfully, yeah, it does take, you know, at least a year. Even with a year and a half of planning, I feel like we're kind of doing things at the last minute. But yeah, I mean, I think starting there, it's like I felt like we had a pretty solid foundation, you know, here in our kind of local circuit of competition. And in grade 3, we weren't necessarily sweeping everything, but we were doing pretty well. And I think, you know, we all felt that we were improving every contest, and every rehearsal seemed to be building upon itself. And at that point, you know, I had been in the pipe major role for a few years, and you know, with the help of, you know, not only Glenn Cavietal, who's an amazing piper, and our lead drummer, who's had so much experience with the Worlds and with grade 1 bands, but also, like, you know, we had, you know, coach, you know, Glenn Thompson is a person that comes and helps us and kind of shapes the music as well, like, you know, at rehearsals every once in a while to come, you know, just give that judge's perspective. So
Let me just interrupt you for a second there, Trevor.
Yeah, go for it.
Glenn Thompson is my drinking spirit animal.
How do you figure?
If you know, do you know Glenn Thompson?
No.
This guy is a champion drinker. That's all.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, he's very good at it.
He's very good at piping, wearing dumb hats, and drinking. No, I like Glenn.
Yeah.
He's a hoot.
So God,
There was a Costa Mesa of him bringing us beers after we played, and I think he had 4 beers in each hand with his fingers inside of the beers, and just like brought them to the band. And I'm like, thank you, this is awesome. But yeah, he's an amazing, you know, person to have kind of as a mentor of music, but also just like a kind of a coach figure for us. So
God, can you remember the last time you would drink a beer that someone's finger was in?
Would have been 4 months ago, approximately.
Times have changed.
I mean, I'm barely okay hosting a podcast with someone who's had someone's thumb up their ass, much less finger in their beer.
Here, smell this.
So switching,
Anyway.
so you kind of had the perfect storm. I mean, you know, you had a group that was dedicated. Practices were improving. You had good instruction. You had, you know.
Well, hold on. Did you wait to decide when you saw things going the right way, or did you decide ahead of time and it was a result of that? Do you think, like, people were like, "Hey, we're going to the Worlds. Let's
get our shit
like,
together."
What came first, the practice or the Worlds?
I feel like it was both. It was like, hey, you know, like I felt like we had a good, like, we just had a really solid core of people in the pipe corps and the drum corps, and I said, you know, I think we need to make a decision now so that we can start doing everything we need to do musically, you know, motivationally, and also like logistically and money wise. Like, so I think by the time we hit October the year before, we had definitely had a solid plan in place, and we kind of just powwowed with the entire band. I think it was actually at the Seaside Games. After the Seaside Games, we kind of all met up and said, hey, here's the plan. Like, here's what the expectation level is musically, financially, time off of work wise. And we kind of just laid it out for everybody, and everyone, you know, was gung ho. And I was like, you know, this isn't going to be easy. And I'm definitely, you know, like, we're going to push you guys for the next year. It's not going to be all fun all the time, but we really believe that this is the right group, and this is, next year is the right year to kind of make it happen. And let's just see how we do. I mean, I think that was it going in, is just saying, we're used to playing against, the people that we usually play against in grade 3, but it's very much a different scene when you go, across the pond to the UK. And you don't really know what that level is until you go there and play against them. I mean, you can listen to recordings all day and look at results all day online, but at the end of the day, it's like being out there on the field with those bands, not just from the UK, but all across the world, is, gives you a good barometer for kind of where you're at. So,
and winning helps.
Yeah. I mean, like we were. I honestly, if we go deeper into this, like to the week leading up, which is the most intense part of this whole thing, I think like by the time we got to the awards, I was definitely not sober, and I definitely had been sick with the most terrible cold I've had in my entire life for like 3 days. So I was a little bit delirious.
That's just called Glasgow, man. Like
it's called the
yeah.
The Glasgow
like,
herpes is what that's
I feel
called.
cold and wet and clammy all the time. That's just Glasgow. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I really thought I had lost my mind when they called our name. I'm like, that must be wrong. I don't know. Like, and then everybody started screaming. I'm like, I don't know. I've either completely broken away from reality or something else is happening entirely.
Well, there's 2 funny stories I've heard about that. Well, one, I've seen the video of you guys reacting of, what's that girl's name? There was that young girl that played with you guys that year.
Anya.
There's that video of her where it just so happens to be pointed at her when it gets announced, and then everybody losing their minds, which is great. And then there's the other story I heard was, I believe it was Alex told us this, where you guys weren't even sure you qualified or whatever it was, and everybody's drinking pretty hard, and then all of a sudden they announce you guys to go to the finals, and everyone's like, oh shit.
Fuck.
We got to get their shit together, all the drummers anyway. That's a story I heard as well. Do you have any, are these true? At least
I mean, story? I think, well, for me, I mean, I was like very hyper focused on kind of learning of the qualifier results. So we were there waiting, intently to know if, honestly, I was like, are we going to have to kind of do this all over again and figure out like a timeline and go put the instruments back? And what do we do? And like, it's another thing we can like dig into is just like all the stuff that isn't just playing through the set, like that make a huge difference with the results of the performance and kind of what product you put out on the field. Like, it's like, what do? Do you put the instruments away? Do you take the instruments apart? Do you put the tenor cap back on? Do you have everyone take a break? What time do you have everyone come back? All that stuff. Like, I'm like, do we have to go through that exercise? Which, it's like we're constantly planning for all this stuff. But yeah, we did learn we'd qualified, and I'm like, all right, so now we have, plan C, D, and E like in my pocket, like ready to go so that we can execute on it. But I think the drummers were a little surprised because some of them hadn't been waiting there at the jumbotron to see the results, and we're like, hey, we gotta be ready to play.
We're back up, dude.
The MSR for the final.
Well, that actually brings up an interesting question that I have for Aaron, which is because you mentioned the fact that it's like playing across different climates, playing across I know when we were there, it was crazy. You talk about the plan CDE, like, okay, fuck, the sun's out, put your shit away. Oh, it's fucking raining. Wait, play under a tree. Oh, wait, sun's out again. Leave your chanter cap off, pull your chanter out, let that, there's all these things. Aaron, you play across some of the most inhospitable landscape in the United States, and not just your pipes, but you have 4 musicians that play with you in the Tinkers more recently. They got fucking custom drums. You got didgeridoos. Like, you guys have all kinds of shit to maintain. Is it a similar mentality where it's like, okay, I gotta have plan A through F in case shit goes haywire?
For me, yes. I've got spare chanters and different reeds and stuff that I know will be more likely to work in higher, drier places and stuff like that. I don't think it's so much of a concern for the rest of the band. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. But
is that why I see them at the beer tent more? Is because they're not as worried?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of, wow, it's really, I feel it's high up here. Like, yeah. It hasn't gotten higher. It's the same it was last year.
It's high up here. Let's do another set. And you're like, fuck me. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, of course it affects CJ and I more because,
You're doing your.
How much do you really have to breathe to play a drum? Just enough to swing your arm,
And occasionally go, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not so much a part of the instrument itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you guys are working your asses off up there.
it's tough. It's at least, I mean, we know pretty much what we're up against week to week, whereas going to Glasgow, you have no idea what you're up against minute to minute,
Oh, it's insane.
You're going to be up against all of it at some point.
Yeah, because I remember
it all happens in the same.
It was like it was cold and raining in the morning, and I was like wearing my wristbands under my shirt, which was a trick you taught me, the little drummer wristbands, so like my blood was getting warm to my hands. Yeah. And then like by the time we were getting ready to go, like we were doing our like staging to get up to play, and it was fucking boiling all of a sudden. Like the sun came out.
It was hot. It was cold. It was raining.
And like our pipe major's like, get fuck under the trees. Get on the trees. Like. I was like, dude, it's the sun. It's not fucking mortar fire.
Hey, it's at the world. It's that important,
dude. I will say this, Jason. I mean, we still fucking lost, but
lost big. Huge.
But Jason was on top of that shit. It was this same kind of stuff you're talking about, Trevor. Of like, it's like, okay, like I need you to put it away and then like wait 5 minutes and then blow it for 1 minute and then put it away again.
Was Glenn there with you?
Yep.
Trevor,
what was that?
Was Glenn there with you?
In the build-up to the warm-up?
Did you take him over to help you guys during the World?
Oh, Glenn Thompson. Thompson. Sorry, we have so many Glenns in the band. Yeah, Glenn Thompson was actually there, but he was very much like, hey, like I am like your guys' coach back home, and I kind of work with you guys week to week. I don't want to be like, he's like, I just want to see you guys play, and I want to enjoy your performance. We actually had Bruce Gandy kind of help us through the week leading up. So him and Alex Gandy were immensely helpful with just like tuning and tone and kind of like, some of the stuff that I wouldn't think about just being like in the different terrain, like in Glasgow and the humidity and stuff like that. So we definitely leaned on them a lot for like, hey, what's the best move right now? It was a collective and it was kind of all a collaboration, but like they definitely were instrumental just because they kind of know that realm so much more than we do, especially me. It was the first time I'd taken the band to Scotland, and I'm like, I know things in theory, but I don't really have never practiced them, so why not lean on people that have actually done it and done it with other bands? So they were great.
That's fantastic. Okay, so
hold on, Trevor, have you never been to Scotland to play before this?
I had been twice before to play with the band, with the Pasadena Scots, but not in any type of leadership role. So this is kind of a when it got closer to the World, I was like, whose idea was it to come here again? And it's like everyone's like, what do I do? What do I do? Like when do I play? When do I get up? When do I go to sleep? What do I eat? I'm like,
yes.
It's just like a lot of kind of.
Well, yeah, and like, did you get buy-in from other people in your band that helped out with the logistics, or like were you mostly focused on music, or were you like, I got to figure out who's fucking landing and what bus they're gonna get on?
Yeah, did you have a band manager that helped you with all that nonsense?
Definitely, yeah. Like I think all of the board of officers kind of chipped in every way they could with just contacting vendors and like we need the coach on this day and it's like I think my natural inclination though, like just because of I work in production in LA, it's like I kind of took a lot of it on though and set up stuff and then had people fill in kind of the blanks.
It's a weird flex, but okay.
What was that?
It's a weird flex, Trevor, but it's okay. Yeah, we get it. You're important.
I know, right?
Yeah, he's very important person.
I really like. I gotta brag about like all the spreadsheets I have and like documents.
You have to brag about your content schedule. I get it. I'm aware. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking awesome though. It's awesome that people kind of chipped in and helped. I mean, I think
Imagine what that would be like.
Well, and having experience in managing a clusterfuck helps. Like even if you don't have to touch every single facet, like the professional experience of I've managed a clusterfuck before, because what it comes down to is just not freaking out.
Yes, keeping your cool.
Yeah, like everything goes wrong and you gotta be like, okay, I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. There's whiskey in the coffee, and then I'm going to I'll figure this out. No worries.
This is exactly what happens at the concert every year. Like somebody hands me like a lot of caffeine and a bunch of whiskey, like just so I stay calm. Like,
well, I always preface anytime I have bad news for you at the concert, I'm like, here, have a shot of
here's
this.
a whiskey, yeah.
And then you're like drinking. It's like, oh, thanks, man. I'm like, okay, so the parking lot's on fire.
So speaking of clusterfucks, Aaron, let's talk about the LA Police Pipe Band.
Okay.
No, I'm just fucking. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you.
And the word for segue goes to.
No, just teasing. We gotta set them up now and again. But Aaron, you used to you were the pipe major of the LA Police Pipe Band back in the day, right?
So close. No.
No,
I struggled really hard to avoid ever becoming a pipe major because
You've done an amazing
didn't want
job.
to deal with the kind of stuff that Trevor had to deal with. You guys didn't know me long enough. I think you know that I'm a nice guy. I get along with everybody, and I am pretty certain that if I became pipe major of anything serious, that reputation would be shot.
and you rely heavily financially and everything on that reputation.
Well, yeah, and I do. It is important to me to get along with. I'd rather get along with people, but I get frustrated as a member of a band when people aren't doing what they need to do, and as a pipe major of a band when people aren't doing what they need to do. In all honesty, I got roped into. I'm now teaching the LA City Fire Department band.
Okay.
And I work with the LA County Fire Department band. And those guys, the county band has been going for longer, and they've got a pretty serious core in there. They are, it's a service band, but
Sure.
They're pretty serious. The city guys are brand new, and it's just all I can do not to spend several waking hours yelling at people. So,
Aaron is going to actively set fire so they don't come to practice.
no, I may.
Aaron, to be honest though, Aaron
They're
is
like, what? Are you working Tuesday? Because I heard there's a fire at the other side of town. You could fuck off.
It's B shift. Yeah, you guys are on fire duty today. But arguably Aaron could be. I bet you if there was a contest for nicest guy in pipe band world, Aaron would be on that list.
100%, which means we haven't seen Hyde. Like we've only seen.
I want to see. Yeah.
We've only seen Dr. Jekyll.
I live there, but I keep them under a tight leash.
I can imagine.
I worked with several pipe majors in that band, but I was never a pipe major. No.
Right. Oh, okay.
You dodged a fucking bullet there,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. I was gonna hammer you there, but no, but so little history. Josh and I know Aaron. I've known Aaron. I think the first time I ever met him, and Aaron, you wouldn't remember this at all, would be you came to teach the Desert Sky Band back in, I'd say 2001.
So I was
I didn't remember doing that.
I was 11, so I wouldn't have been.
You weren't even in the band at the time, and I remember this very clearly because you were probably the first bagpipe celebrity I met, and I was like maybe 6 months on the practice channel, maybe or something like that when he came, and Danny brought him out, and the Parkers were a huge fan of the Wicked Tinkers and all that stuff, right? So Aaron came out to teach. I'm sorry, Aaron. What was that?
I'm just saying it's coming back now.
Is it? Yeah, and we were at this doctor's office.
He didn't have a beard back then. He just looked like
I
shit.
was just a little goofy little guy. I was much more in shape back then, but but that's the first time.
Round is a shape, bro.
But that's when I met Aaron, and he would remember this. But then, of course, there was many years of he met you would have been at the Flagstaff School probably.
Yeah, first time I met him in person was probably at the Flagstaff School, and that would have been like 2006.
Yeah, roughly when you went. So
because I remember I had a car and I was 16, and I took myself to Flagstaff School, and I was I was the only kid that I was like the cool kid, I was like fucking like Marshall was there and someone else, and I was like oh man, like you drove here by yourself. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Arizona. It's like 4 hours away. Like, what?
That's a big deal for a 16-year-old, but.
And then I promptly him and Robert Watt and Dix Ingram got me fucking nearly arrested. But we've already told that story.
But what's interesting? Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, but what's interesting about that is that so we've known Aaron a long time. He's been in and out helping the band over the years, and then teaching the Flagstaff School. But we know him from that, which is amazing because very often Aaron gets saddled with the beginners, and man, the patience you must have. In a week-long school, just a week pipe school.
I enjoy that because I feel like so many people when they get started off
wrong.
Well, okay, sure.
Sure.
And I feel like I can help people kind of understand what they're shooting for right off the bat.
Right.
And so, I feel like I often feel like I'm more helpful there than, in the higher levels where people either pretty much know what they're doing already, or the things that they built in are so ingrained that
you're never going to be able to get them out.
No amount of me jabbering at them is going to get them to change what they're doing. So.
Right. Interesting.
That's like one of my earliest Aaron memories, though. Honestly, like when I was at Granada Hills High School, and there was no formal instruction, Aaron. I don't know if you remember this, but I was like, I think you came because like our music director was finally like, yeah, we'll have Aaron come one time, and that should be enough for the whole year. And I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, you can't just have someone come for 1 hour, one day, and like everyone automatically knows how to play like a Turlua, like even like so yeah, like I mean I definitely remember that because you definitely put us on the right track, and by us I mean like me and 3 other people who were attempting to learn the bagpipes on our own. So thank you for that.
I'd forgotten that you were there. Yeah, that was quite a while back, and that was really frustrating because I would talk to the powers that were there and say, well, how about this, and can we get some bagpipes that work and aren't broken, and some reeds that function, and no, and we'll see you next month or something. Like, it was.
Well, they were like, we really only need someone to play like on a Friday night at a football game during halftime for like 5 minutes, and just to like wear a uniform and maybe put the pleats in the front of the kilt. Like it was just all like so wrong. But yeah, I mean, like sadly, we kind of. Jennifer Fabre and a couple of people from the Pasadena Scots had kind of bolstered that program back up, and then it kind of all came back down, unfortunately. So now we're back to square one, and unfortunately, they keep getting a new music director, so we kind of have to start from scratch a little bit. But that is an early Aaron memory I have.
Well, Fusco is available for hire if you guys need a new music director. His car is very fast. He can't afford to live in Southern California, but he can afford to commute.
But I guess that's one of the big things we had Aaron on for, is because he's such he's obviously a boomer, right? Are you a boomer, Aaron, technically?
Sadly, yes. I'm on the cusp, but yes.
But no, you've been so influential to so many pipers, and
especially in the
as
States.
An American. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like I got into piping because Angus bought fucking Wicked Tinker CDs.
Correct.
And I was like, holy shit, dude.
I was gonna say, like, I was geeking out over Murray Blair recently, but like Aaron was the guy that got you into this.
100%.
Like got you excited.
Oh, trust me. I drunkenly told him at Frankie's Tiki Room one time when they came to...
man, you're my hero.
They came to town and I was like, dude, like, you're the reason I fucking started playing. And he's like, all right, fuck off, weirdo. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, so that we are going to get a little more into that later.
I remember my first interaction was probably, I think it was, this even predates the Flagstaff School. I remember I was listening to Wicked Tinker's album, and it was I forget the name of the tune, but it was the Mermaid tune.
Oh, yeah.
It was that one, Marion's Call. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's a really cool tune. And I had started learning pipes. And so I literally, like, went on Angus's, like, 100-year-old computer and, like, went to the Wicked Tinker's website and filled out the contact form. I was like, hey, I really like this song. Where can I find the music? And he just fucking emailed it to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Wait, he didn't charge you for it?
No.
Wow,
just
that's
emailed
amazing.
It to me.
How about that, Aaron? Good
and
job.
then I memorized it and burned it.
You're not going to share it with anybody else.
That.
But yeah, I remember I was just thinking, and that was also an important moment because I was like, holy shit, this internet thing, man. That was like, I remember the machines in the background like going, just in like one fucking email. And I was like, holy shit, it works. I communicated with a fucking rock star.
How amazing is that?
Magic.
Yeah. It was similar to me almost meeting the piper that I cared about in Seven Nations, not Brad. But, hey.
I was, why didn't you, I was drinking with Kirk. Did you not hang out with him?
No, I meant the piper, Scott. He was really my hero. But Brad and Kirk will do. They're close enough. They were in the band at the time that Scott was in the band. So it's like it's the 7 degrees of
Love
Kevin,
you, Brad.
Of Scott.
Be nice to Brad.
No, Brad's a great guy. We're just kidding with him.
Yeah.
Shit. But yeah, man, it's weird. It's a small fucking world. And I think, one of the things I think is interesting is when I think about the piping scene in like the UK, Scotland, Ireland, that whole area, like you're so physically close together. that there's a bit of camaraderie. You know, you see people at events, like you know, the people that you're like, holy shit, that guy's the fucking shit. You see him all the time. I think, you know, one of the things people don't realize in the States is that we run into a tyranny of distance of like everything is so fucking far apart. How do you get to know these people? And then, you know, you just listen to the world's worst bagpiping podcast and you can hear them all the time.
That's all you gotta do. Just listen to us. We have amazing players on all the time, and Josh.
And also me. Yeah.
I think over there it's not also just distance, but time, because there's a million contests.
Yeah, that too.
There's a million contests. I mean, I remember when we were there.
Back.
There was like
2 a weekend.
7 bands within 30 minutes of wherever you were.
Not only that, but they go to a contest. They have one on a Saturday and one on a Sunday, like 2 total different contests. It was like all the time,
man.
Which is cool. Out here, we're lucky if we go to one a month. If you're lucky, 3 a year, maybe. If you're really
for
lucky,
us, yeah,
3
it's
or
like,
4 a year.
Like we usually, like when we do our AGM, we're usually trying to hit 3 contests in a year just because of the finances.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
Which goes back to I suppose the Pasadena Scots, who go to everything because they want those sweet Wuspaba aggregate points. You sons of bitches.
It's less the points and more just, you know, me being the crazy leader who's like, we need to keep pushing, and if we have a month off, like, what are we, you know, like, we're losing all that momentum. So even when it's funny, I mean, this is a look behind the curtain. I don't even think I tell the band this, but like, if there's a month where there's no contest, we typically build something in. Like, it's either some kind of gig or performance, or we like to schedule something just so there's something on the calendar to work towards. Otherwise, it's like you have, you know, like right now, or you have months where you're just not playing together and not kind of keeping things up to the standard that you'd like.
Well, and that's one of the things I thought, you know, I mean, everyone's kind of whinging about this same subject, but it's kind of two interesting viewpoints to me anyway. And, you know, one of the benefits of hosting the show is I can fucking ask people questions that I'm interested in. Trevor, like, you're kind of dealing with what everyone else is dealing with as far as like, what the fuck are we going for? I mean, I don't know if we want to say anything about it, but in my opinion, in all likelihood, going to have to cancel our November concert, which was the only other thing left that we were working towards.
It's very likely.
And then, you know, for Aaron, you have a similar thing where it's like, yeah, gigs planned, man. Like, I was supposed to see your fucking face in April.
I know, we were excited about coming back.
I was excited to have you and feed you tiki drinks, but yeah. So, you know, we'll go. Let's see, we'll go Aaron first, then Trevor. You know, how has this been kind of fucking you in the ass when it comes to just motivation? It doesn't have to, not even like in the financial sense, because everyone's getting fucked financially. Like, there's no qualms about that. But what is in like the sense of like, God, I just want to get out of bed and fucking play my instrument. Like, how's that affecting you and the guys, Aaron?
Well, it has been it's certainly frustrating, and in the band we're not just, you know, workmates, but we're friends too. I mean, especially, I mean, I'm friends with CJ, but Tiki and Turk, I've been friends with them for almost 40 years. And, you know, we don't see each other. We were hanging out every weekend almost. And, you know, now we don't do so much of that. We've been trying to do some online, you know, Facebook Live hang kind of things, just to keep connected with folks, but really it's also so we can keep connected with each other. It's difficult to work on any kind of motivation for new material. There's and it's just hard to know. Like, there are still a few events that have not canceled. I'm sure they will, but they haven't yet. And so we're sort of going, well, maybe in October we'll do that thing, maybe. But we just like anybody else now, we can't plan anything, and it's certainly difficult. You know that. I'm
Aaron, you're not on Rab's show. You can say it fucking sucks.
It does. Well, yeah, it does suck. It's in some ways my life work during the week hasn't changed much at all, because I do a lot of teaching, and almost all of my teaching before was on Skype. Okay. The only thing that's changed is now some of it's on Zoom.
Right.
You know? And there's actually more than there was before, because there's more people with time.
Yeah.
But the weekend thing is very, very different. And I just have a need to like get out and get on the road. I miss that in itself. Just
I'm still amazed. I'm still amazed that van runs.
500,000 miles, baby.
Wow.
500,000 miles.
That's the best.
I would run 5.
Hey, Aaron, we got a question from the audience. They want to know, what's the best tiki bar you've ever been in?
Oh.
Aaron is a huge tiki bar fan, and so are the
That's
Tickers.
That's true.
And I would have to defer to the king himself. But in my estimation, Frankie's is really good. The only problem I have with it is being an LA guy and being out of cigarette smoke for as long as I have. That's a little overwhelming for me.
We wash our clothes when we come home.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's a great place to get that.
I gotta go Tiki T.
Where's that?
That's on Sunset, East Hollywood.
Oh,
It's
shit.
been there since back in the day.
I went to a secret tiki bar in it was in San Diego. I went to go visit B, and it was like you go into like a restaurant, and then you tell them it was a full fucking production, dude. It's like you tell them a password, and they take you through the back, and it's like asses to elbows in a tiki bar.
Yeah.
Do you know this place, Aaron?
No, but there's a spot like that in Phoenix that we've been to. That's
okay.
I can't even think of the name of it now, but it's good.
I don't know the names of any of the bars in Arizona. I just know how to find them.
There's that one in, is it Flagstaff, or what's the other place close to Flagstaff?
Prescott.
There's that place like in the town where you go down the back stairway.
Back the stairway, and there's like the hallway with the lights on it.
Yeah.
You guys did not believe me that it existed.
I
You're
did
like,
not believe you.
They're like, Josh, you're about to fall into a fucking river down this fire escape. I was like, no, there's a bar here. I promise.
It's somewhere here, and then there it was all of a sudden.
never doubt my alcohol finding skills. All right, they're legendary.
I would put you and Aaron in a contest of sniffing out alcohol in a town. We'll blindfold
dude, we'll
you and just see
yeah.
who finds the bar first.
I remember like
fun.
the rare.
You know,
I remember the rare occasions where like we'd go to games. Even when we were in like Southern California, and we'd go to games to promote the Vegas games, and like it'd be like 10 or whatever, and nothing was open, and like all of a sudden some tankers or like some of the other bands would come sniffing around the games tent, and we're like, okay, well, you got fucking scotch. yes we do. Go to the back. The famous Vegas games tent back room.
So question from the audience for Trevor. What was your worst or hardest, toughest experience since becoming the pipe major of your band?
I think it's the same thing as kind of the question of what the challenge is right now with the COVID-19 situation. I think is always just keeping everybody motivated and engaged, I think is the most challenging, but also like, I think on the other side, like the most rewarding part of it. So, it's like, I think as a pipe major, you have to be kind of musically up to par, but I think more importantly, you kind of need to make sure that everyone feels like they're they're completely engaged in like the product that you're creating, and like they need to be motivated to make good music and to trust the decisions that the leadership is making. So I don't know, it's like I think that's the toughest part, is just like keeping that up. Like it's hard week to week, even when we can rehearse. And now in this situation, it's like I would be a complete liar to say that it's not challenging. It sucks, and it's not being able to see the band and not being able to play and make music. And, it's at this point, it's like they're family and friends, like all the people in the band. So not being able to see them every week for rehearsals, terrible. We have weekend rehearsals where we would hang out in the park and play for a couple hours and then go have beers and lunch. And like, so that's not happening. So, to Aaron's point, I think, the only thing we can really do is we do kind of a weekly Zoom, just because I think everyone's concerned about everyone else in the band, and they want to see each other and know how everyone's friends and families are doing. And just, it's nice to catch up with everybody, because we that's the whole big part of the band, is like just the camaraderie aspect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna get yelled at by drum majors in 100-degree heat, you might as well do it together.
and with people that you like.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, guys, so we're all agreed we're gonna beat his fucking ass later. Okay, we're all good. Everybody see what kind of car he drives.
Absolutely.
So I let's see. This one came through. Let's see. This is a question. Oh, this is for Aaron. What is it like to spend question mark years traveling with the Tinkers? Do you still compete or miss competing?
Well, no, I don't still compete. I judge a fair amount now. But I tried competing. There was a period of time where I was still trying to do solos and play in the police band and do the Tinkers, and that just didn't work.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and sometimes it would be at the same games, and that didn't last very long.
That's insanity, sir.
Yeah, I gave up on that. And it's too hard to put that kind of time into solo stuff too, because to play at a high level, I'm not at the same level I was when I was really competing technically. I think I've musically matured, but technically I'm not as solid as I was back then.
Well, that's kind of
I do miss it to a certain extent. I miss the challenge and the discipline and the adrenaline of it,
But one of the things that I think is interesting is like you make a lot of what I would consider to be style choices. Like when you're playing, there are things that you do that you made up, like that came right out of the old noggin. It's fucking, for fuck's sake, Fusco.
Hey,
nice.
But yeah, like and I think that's important too. I don't know that this community. I think there's a large focus in this community on technicality and on competition, and not so much on like let's just rip a tune. Like, for fuck's sake, let's do something weird.
Right.
In the competitive field, but we're not tied into the trad scene.
That's true.
And
We don't really have a trad scene.
Aaron
here.
does what do they call Aaron style? Like
kitchen piping or
no, what is it? Fuck. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
I don't know what you're going for. I already gave you the right answer.
The people that dance in the mud, like that kind of style of music. Like, what do they call that?
People that dance in the mud.
Yeah.
Are you having a fucking stroke? Do I need to call it?
Hold on, I'll think of it in a second. But Aaron's style of music. What do you call the Wicked Tinkers? What is it?
Tribal music?
Tribal Celtic music.
Tribal, yes.
So that's a whole different.
People that dance in the mud.
Okay, sure.
Listen, man. I was at the Utah games when there was lightning and thunder and rain. I was with
that's the title of the next fucking Wicked Tinkers album. It's just gonna be called "People That Dance in the Mud."
Yeah.
But I was there. There was lightning and thunder in the sky, and the Tinkers were on stage. It was raining, and people were just like sliding through the mud, like dancing in the mud, and they loved every second of it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Right.
And like
that's been for me over the years. That's been a bit of a tug of war, because I really, I judge, I teach, and when I teach, correct bagpiping. And when I play with the Tinkers, I don't take shortcuts. I don't always, I make mistakes, but I'm not like, I'll take stuff out of this so I can play it fast or anything. I just play it to the best of my ability. But I don't worry about the technical end of things in the same way, because if you're trying to get off of a table onto a plastic chair and back onto the ground without falling over while you're playing and you're hammered, it's a little hard to worry about your deep throw, but I'm happy when it comes off right though. But I still appreciate and enjoy the discipline end of things. But I also one thing for me was when I started playing uilleann pipes, which I am not good at. I am by no means accomplished at it, but the approach is so different. The approach of learn 20 different things you can do with that note, and then surprise yourself with which one you do when you play.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different approach, and I appreciate that. You can't do that in a pipe band, of course, because unless everybody psychically makes the same choice at the same time.
Well, you can't do it in a pipe band because your fucking kilt's not ironed and your flashes are on wrong. And you're late.
You're running late across the field.
You didn't know the fucking music that well to begin with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, that's interesting though. I think that anyone who's a player, I think people who listen to the show who are like higher level players and lower level players can get something out of it. It's like, dude, it's fucking. You also have to do it for fun. Like, you also have to, and it's not like you're not challenging yourself musically. Like, I listen to your shit. Like, you're trying to figure out new ways to use the instrument. Everyone loves MSRs. I don't want to listen to an album of MSRs. I'm gonna go stick a fucking gun in my mouth. Like that's just
Right.
1 or 2 is great, baby. But
Yeah.
Although that's mostly what I play at home is MSRs and PRIC, but
well,
that's for me.
P-Rock
that's
is
not
still
for
a very very acquired taste, I think, in the
That is
piping
true.
world. I enjoy listening to it.
In the piping world?
yeah,
I would say in the regular world,
yeah.
maybe.
Oh well, in the regular world, it's a taste nobody's gonna fucking acquire.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not worried about the normos, man. They're not gonna want to listen to fucking.
We,
They're not gonna listen to Andy Foucault's Bowels Lament. It's fucking 17-minute P-Rock.
Aaron, have you ever played a P-Rock for the people that dance in the mud? Just for the fun of it. Just to see what they do. See if they revolt, throw batteries at you.
I have to work on that. Well, we try and put one on. I put one on all of our studio albums.
That's true. You
There's
do.
always
Yeah.
a P-Rick on there.
Yeah.
I try and do something different with it, but there's always one on there.
Well, because
So-
it's your
That's the one
fucking
people
album.
skip.
Like it's your fucking album. Put what do you want on there? You know. Like,
Abs-
Who gives a
it's like, hey, guess what? You don't like P-Rock? Record your own fucking album, bitch. Like what? Welcome to the party.
Exactly.
Send me your SoundCloud link of you fucking butchering Glasgow City police pipers for the 17th time.
Hey, Trevor. One of our big good friends, Beer Boy Brad,
Tier 1 friend.
Tier 1 friend, wants to know this. After listening to your last episode, if you could go back in time to a young Trevor learning practice chanter, what advice as a pipe major would you give your younger self?
That's such a good question. That is a tier 1 question from a tier 1 fan.
He might also
don't
have
know.
the
I
hots
mean,
for you. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, he
but-
definitely does.
I think it's. I think to some extent, I wish I would have been kind of a little bit more serious back then. Like I think I said last time, I kind of fell into it in a way I didn't really plan on learning to play the pipes. It was like I was always at school late, waiting to be picked up, and that's when they met to play practice chanter. And so everyone's like, "You're a clarinetist. You should just do it because you have dexterity and finger dexterity." And it's almost the same. And I'm like, well, looking back, it is absolutely 0% the same. Yeah, I think it's like, I think access to like things that we have now with technology, like had I had the ability to like have a Skype or Zoom lesson with people like Aaron every week, or like all the other great players like that are available for lessons, that would have been awesome. So I think having to like my advice would to be like figure out a way to go learn something properly from the get-go, because I did do a certain amount of relearning and unlearning of like how to properly play things, because I was kind of being taught by people who didn't it was like the blind leading the blind. So
That's like so
yeah,
many
I think,
people's
like,
first experience.
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, especially here back then. I mean,
Well, here for sure.
Trevor's basically the same age as me. And it's one of those things where like nobody fucking knew how to do anything compared
Well-
to like if I knew then what I know now.
Well, hold on. Maybe it's Aaron's fault that we're so bad though, because he was
gonna
around 20 years ago, and
You're
we
gonna
still
throw
sucked.
Aaron under the bus.
Granted,
That's-
like much like Trevor's high school, we brought him out once, and we're like, "Hey, now we're magically better."
Aaron's like, guys, if there's a part in the break that you know you're gonna blow, make your drummers go ah.
Covers a multitude of sins.
Exactly.
I think if I could go back and tell myself anything, I'd be like, just learn drum. You'll enjoy band practice more.
Yeah, exactly. The drummers have way more fun.
They're having a blast, dude. Like,
Yeah, waiting for pipers to get tuned up. I think it's a great time. You're right, Trevor. Now it's such a great time because there's access to so much. It used to be really hard to dig things up, recordings, find people to teach you.
Yeah.
It's all there now. It's great.
so, Aaron, we have a question for you that came through. It was, how would you describe the smell inside the Wicked Tinker's van as you cross the desert with 4 dudes?
When that last question, when somebody asked what it was like being on the road all those years, that's the first thing that came to my mind, actually. And the van is, I wish this is where technology has just not caught up with the world, because like just before we got on, I was in like a virtual world because I got my family got me an Oculus for my birthday.
Oh,
I've been
shit.
lost
There you
in other worlds, you know. So
Fusco's going to be lost in another world on an episode soon.
if I could take the smell out to the van so you could smell it, because it's out in the driveway baking in the sun right now, and it's a sharp, bitter, acrid smell with an undertone of like some sort of sweetness and maybe a little patchouli. I'm not
Thanks,
sure
CJ.
exactly where that came from. There's the scent of large sweaty hairy man, and whiskey and Bud Light Lime.
So basically, the same flavor as this Bushmills
whiskey.
right now.
I was gonna.
Not unlike your studio there, I would suspect.
Yeah, I would guess it was gonna smell like disappointment and bong water, but that's just me.
There's a little of that. Well, I don't know about the bong water, but yeah.
Come on, CJ's in that van.
But I have to know. What
Yeah.
is the? This is my fan question. What is the make, model, year of the WT van?
Yeah.
That is a 2000 Ford. I can't remember what the model actually is, but it's the V10 15
damn.
pass.
There you go. That's like
No,
that's like the
from
18
Alpine
van.
Ford, it was an old production van, actually.
So it's like if you had the 18
The ones
van, but
that
it wasn't a
They
ramp.
run around the crew in. So
I remember I used to just like during the season I would just randomly see the Wicked Tinker's van in Las Vegas. Like I'd be like going to get a bev and I'd be driving by Frankie's and see the Tinker's van, or like I remember I was sitting at a stoplight on my way to work or coming back from lunch to go to work, and like they pulled up next to me at the stoplight. It was the Wicked Tinker's van, and I like Facebook messaged CJ.
And the window rolls down and all the smoke pours
like,
out.
I Facebook messaged CJ. I was like, where the fuck are you guys going? I'm literally right next to you right now.
that's good luck.
Is it? Oh shit! For me or for you?
See the Tinker van is
Absolutely.
anybody. If you see the Tinker van, it's good luck. If you could rub it, it's even better luck.
Little kids at Highland Games, like that's the game they play. You know how you used to play Punch Buggy out on the road? It's like
It's like Wicked
it's
Tinker
a
Van?
Wicked Tinker Van game, you know.
It's like, oh, it's that one that was on the side of the road with the wheels on.
Yeah, that's happened too.
Oh my god. So Trevor, I have a question for you. Let's get deep.
Sure.
Let's get deep.
Usually we only get wide, but on this occasion we'll get deep.
Well, there's two questions here. One, do you think it's appropriate that you are now should be titled the premier pipe band in the United States? Take over that title from the LA Scots. I think it's time.
I don't know. The word premiere is so strange.
I think we went down that road last time.
Last week.
How about
I don't
this?
know. I mean,
How about instead of using the word premier, you can use two words that they can't. World champion.
There you go. Well, you can't say it in the last 10 years, 20 years, whatever. But
Let's use those two words.
oh god, we're gonna get phone calls on this. But yeah, Trevor, go ahead and tell us why your band is better than the LA Scots.
I mean, I don't know. Like every band has its own personality. You know, it's like the LA Scots. We're friends with a lot of them. They have, they've gone through lots of changes. But I think with our band, it's, I think the thing that makes it great is that everyone is willing to help each other. And another fun idea that we kind of dove into, while we were thinking about going to the Worlds, was let's start a grade 5 band, because we had so many players that wanted to play that wouldn't be able to play in the grade 3 band, but it's like we can't turn these people away, and we need to create a place to kind of build some kind of organization that's bigger than just one band. So that was kind of happening in tandem with all the plans to go to the Worlds in 2018, and I think that was such a great thing to do, and it was painful looking back, but we want to create a place where people learn like the right shit. It's like we want, like Aaron is talking about, it's like we don't want to have people come into different parts of the organization having to unteach them things or to explain this is not how we would express a trisbé or express a jig. So it's like I think if we can kind of cultivate the talent early on, that's our overall kind of goal, is to create multiple bands that we can kind of build people up through and grow people, and, you know, start potentially even younger than that. I think there's been conversations that we've had with, you know, do we kind of institute something a little bit more formal with Granada Hills High School or other organizations that have that kind of legacy of bagpiping and drumming, but no real access to any instruction. So I don't know if that makes us better, but it definitely is a thing that we're always thinking about, is like, how do we kind of leverage the people that we have now as talent to teach new people? And then, like, how do we kind of have a multi-tiered organization where people learn and can grow up into different bands? And, you know, it's like everyone's always wanting to get better. I think our philosophy is always like, was this better than last rehearsal? Was this better than the last contest? Like, let's listen to the recordings. Like, a lot of people kind of don't like to listen to recordings of themselves, both solo and band, but we kind of do that. We do that, you know, at band rehearsal. We kind of listen to things and pass out sheets and talk amongst the band and say, like, what do you think about this? Like, do you think this was good? Like, do you think this is bad? You know, what could be better about this? How can we continue to, like, hone things in, and not only with the music, but with the instruments? I think, as we know, the bagpipes are an animal in and of themselves, especially with, you know, like, we're all playing in the grade 3, we're playing sheepskin bags. So it's like, you kind of, they're like little machines. They're like, they have to be played. They have to be, like, rehemped. They have to, like, you have to pay attention to all that stuff every week, which is another thing we're freaking out about without having any formal rehearsals week to week, is like managing the instruments. It's going to have to kind of be from the ground up again, because we're pretty, you know, there's notes that go out from me and from, you know, Justin Selleck is a huge person on the sound end in the band, who's like, hey, did everyone play their pipes? It's getting dry today. Put a plastic bag over your, you know, over your pipe bag, like things like that, where it's like, we need to keep all that stuff in check so that we aren't regressing at all.
Right. Well, so, hold on, I got part 2 of that question.
I'm interested.
Is so Trevor, why have you not gone on to play with a grade 1 band? And I've got many follow-ups to this. Parts of that are, what keeps you going in the level that you're at? What keeps you motivated at a grade 3 level?
I don't know. I mean, I think we talked last week about, like, when you become the pipe major, you kind of, it's like having a kid. And I feel like that's what's most important right now, is to continue to kind of nurture that child, so to speak, if we're continuing on with that metaphor of a kid. But it's a little creepy. Yeah, I think
we're all about the creep here.
Exactly. So, you know, I would just say what's keeping me from playing a grade 1 band is, like, I think that opportunity hasn't really presented itself in any kind of formal way yet. And even if it did, it would require me kind of, regardless of what I say, it's going to require me kind of taking some time away from all of the kind of work that goes on with keeping my current band together. So, and that's not a sacrifice that I'm necessarily willing to make right now. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So the growth, no, it does, but it's interesting. So your loyalty to the growth of your own organization is more important to you than playing at the ego part of playing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the long run, like, it would be great to have that experience, and it would be great, you know, to bring that back to the Pasadena Scots, like that level of experience in a grade 1 band, to bring that, you know, those learnings kind of back and implement some of that stuff. Right now, right now, meaning I would say at the beginning of this year, when we didn't know that COVID-19 was going to throw the entire contest season out the window, the thing that's keeping me motivated in being, you know, the kind of running of the grade 3 band right now is, like, that we do to some degree have, like, a really good momentum with, you know, 2018 being a really exciting year, surprisingly winning grade 3B, which was a huge, you know, like, it was a huge moment for us. And I think 2019, everyone's like, oh, we can relax now. And I'm like, no, we can't relax now, because everyone now is like, what the hell does a world champion grade 3 band sound like? When I go to Pleasanton, I better hear, like, you know, the most amazing, like, grade 3B band, you know. So It's like that 2019 season was all about, like, making sure that we kept honest to, like, the sound that we had.
I can guarantee you, I know this for a fact, that other bands in that level were gunning for you at that point. They're like, oh my God, we've got to test ourselves against these guys.
Exactly. We became like the barometer in the Western United States a little
Correct.
bit. So, I think knowing that potential and knowing that we haven't really reached the complete potential that we have as a group with the players that we have and the kind of commitment that we have and the dedication to, making sure that we're doing all of our individual parts to make the best performances that we can. I think that's what kind of keeps me going. Like, and if we didn't have that, then I would be like, you know what, I'm going to go look for another opportunity to play in a grade 1 band.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I get it, because I get that question sometimes, like, why do you put up with the nonsense of where I'm at? And it's like, I want something to be good here. I'm desperate for something to be good
Well,
here.
I mean, it's like the same shit. You and I have had this conversation on the show before, but it's like, why do you make more work for yourself? I get that question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because if I don't make more work for myself, things won't be good.
Right.
And all I want is for the thing to be good. We have a question coming through this one's for Aaron.
Oh.
Who's enjoying what I'm assuming is a whiskey.
Yes, I ran out of beers.
This is when things get interesting.
Yes, it
Aaron
does.
on the whiskey.
So tell us this, and I don't think this is the actual correct song title, but tell us the story behind the song Black Hair. And I don't think that's the title of the song on the album.
Oh, Bonnie Black Hair
Bonnie.
or 14th of May. Yeah, it's an old traditional song. And it's we used to do it in the first incarnation of the band, which was 1996, 95.
Damn.
Good God. We did it then, and when we tried to make when we made our first
Trevor,
album,
how
we tried to
old
put
were you
on
in
it.
1995 at the first iteration of the
7.
Wicked Tinkers?
I was 7. No, in all honesty, I just entered a new realm of COVID susceptibility. I'm in the next demographic now. I just turned 60.
God damn, really?
Why do you think?
No,
why do you-
what the hell?
Yeah,
What
that's
the
why
hell?
we're not coughing on you over video.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I thought Aaron was
I'm
a peer,
highly
but he's definitely...
susceptible now.
Because I remember you had I remember the tune. Oh God, what was it? It was like the Farmers. Something.
Yeah.
I once met a sat by a rock. That one.
That's the one. Just a farmer. Yeah.
But yeah, the Black Hair one. So that's another
Yeah, we
traditional
We
limerick.
tried to put that on our first CD, and then there was a record company we were working with on the first one, and they said, "Yeah, no, you can't put that one on there."
That's a 3-minute sex joke.
Yeah. So and then I think we tried to put it on our fourth. It wasn't until our latest CD we finally we recorded it 3 times at least, but we finally put it on a recording on the last one. But yeah, it's just an old traditional song about how we all get here. Without that, where would we be?
It's a very good point.
That's a very kind way of saying we all learned this to crush the puss.
Exactly. So what was...
Or shoot the hair.
Or wallop the cat.
Yeah, that too. Well, that. I assume that one's an effort to not procreate, but I don't know. I'm assuming that's a masturbation joke, but I don't actually know.
Hadn't thought of it that way, but sure, why not?
So the Wicked Tinkers are like the AC/DC of tribal music. Like there's all these like innuendos and shit and everything.
Yeah, we got the biggest balls in the mall.
Exactly. Oh my god. We got a snarky question.
We
in
do,
here.
yeah.
This is very snarky.
Nice.
Should we say? Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. So Trevor, somebody wrote in as being very snarky.
Oh man, it's for me.
being very snarky. Yeah.
I was expecting.
And this person, who is from a grade 3 band, wants to know: will Pasadena move up if asked, or will they continue to destroy in grade 3 forever? This is an age-old question. That band that just sits in their grade and just destroys.
They're going to go down to grade 4 and fly in a bunch of people from Scotland.
Oh, let's hear what the Pasadena Scots plan for making money for the 2021 Worlds is. Let's crush in grade 3.
It's really tough because, I think the grade 2 thing really, it scares a lot of people in a lot of ways, because it's like, you have to learn another MSR, and like, your medley's a little longer. So it's like that kind of stuff is always a consideration, especially with the band that we have now. It's like, where do they want to go as a band? Which is a huge question. It's like it's not my decision in a vacuum to make, like whether or not we move up. The other thing is, it's like grade 2 means one thing in Western United States Pipe Band Association, and it means a completely different thing everywhere else in the world, I think. And especially if you're looking to continue to compete, in the World Championship or abroad anywhere. So I think especially for now, just because things are so uncertain, I don't see us kind of making that leap anytime soon, because to me it's a very big leap from 3 to 2, especially if we're wanting to kind of see how we might fare on the world scene, like in 3A.
Sure.
That is the most eloquent way I've ever heard someone say not until Klaus Kelt moves up to grade 1.
When they go, we go.
When they're not fucking punching everybody's lights out in grade 2, then we'll go.
But it's a reasonable question, but it's also a reasonable answer, because it's such a difficult thing, because like to jump between grades is huge.
It's nuts, yeah.
Out here. So
and even there, you got to keep in mind it's very entrenched, right? Like going from a 5 to a 4, 4 to a 3, 3B to 3A, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but they're split.
Bands are circulating up, down, left, right all the time. Like it is incredibly rare, both here and in over at the RSPBA, for like a grade 1 to move down to a grade 2, or a grade 2 to move down to a 3A. Like once you're in 2 or 1, you're gonna be there for like a decade.
Unless something drastic happens, yeah.
Yeah.
Something falls apart. But
unless your cat scratches your face off.
But going up, man, it's such a challenge, because it requires so much more of your members to be prepared, practicing the level that you got to maintain.
Yeah, everyone's got to show up.
Then leadership's got to recruit better players, and they got to get some extra people in there. You need more size, and Pasadena Scots is notorious for being 8 pipers and 3 snares, and fucking away we go. Let's crush everybody. They are the exception to the rule of bigger is better, right? Because you guys have been destroying with a small band forever.
Oh yeah.
Which everybody else is like, the bigger you are, you can hide mistakes, blah blah blah, and that works. It definitely works.
Oh, they're focusing on having like 8 good pipers and 4 to 6 good drummers.
I've seen them go out with 6
instead of having
that's unheard of. That's
instead
remarkable.
of having a gaggle of assholes. Like
go out with 20, and who gives a shit, and you'll win, because
half of them have their fucking have a goddamn golf tee in their chanter. Just go.
Well, maybe, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I mean the amount of players and the amount of players to produce a grade 2 sound, both in the drum corps and the pipe corps, is another big consideration. That, like you said, we're a small band, and it's like that moving up would just completely devastate us. I think we're not ready to. We don't have the numbers to do so. So, I mean, I think the short answer is no, we're not ready. Like, we're just not there.
Trevor's short answer is, to all the other haters out there, get good, bro.
You're about to say, yeah, get ready. Get ready to get slapped in 3.
One of the great fucking dismissive but yet insults that's in the video game world is get good. Like if you bitch about like, oh, this guy shouldn't be in this blah blah blah, get good.
Get good.
That's your problem. Trevor's gonna be out there. Get good, bro. Hey, Wasatch, get good, you cunts.
It's terrible. I mean, like, we went over, it's like we heard a lot of the other grade 3B bands warming up, like, all throughout the week in 2018. And I was just like, everybody's like, who is that? I'm like, don't worry about it. Just get your pipes out. Like, it's like, I don't want to tell you that that's the people we're playing against in 3 days. Like, that, they sound great. Like, the standard of playing is just 100% different over there. So, especially when it's like there's just a different part of the culture, which I think we brought up last week as well, is like, there's nothing else to do during those, like, the winter months. You're trapped inside and you play your instrument and you get it great. And then you have, in the spring and summer, you really just rehearse with your band. Here in Southern California, like, there's so many other distractions. People, go on vacations. Like, it's different. It's not part of our culture in the way that, like, it's something we do all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
can I just ask you a question too? Because I would think that one problem going from 3-2 for you when you're talking about numbers is something that sounds like it's really important to you guys, is the camaraderie that you have.
Right.
Cohesion. And if you suddenly had to like double the number of people, hanging on to that would also be difficult, which would then make it less fun to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's another point, like, that's not music related, but also just like keeping the like core members of the band engaged, is like, who are these people and why are you bringing them into the band? Like, they don't,
Right.
like, they're not members. Like, when, so I think it's just like it's a big conversation to be had. But yeah, it's true. It's like, it's a concern we've always had, because we're very, it's like, I think we're kind of picky with who we want to be part of the band in a way.
Yeah.
And so we kind of build out the band with the people that we know are going to be those people that, are encouraging of others, and like build and lend a hand where they can, and to use their skill set to improve other players in the band, and not just the band they're in, but like the lower grade bands that we've got in our organization as well. So,
Well, then why the hell?
There was even concerns with the band, like bringing in, we had a couple guest musicians in 2018 going to the Worlds just to make sure that we had adequate numbers to produce like a comparable sound. And even then it was like, it wasn't a problem, but it's just a conversation that has to be had with the band. Like, hey, these are people that are coming in, they are rehearsing at, and we're having them send recordings to me. And it's like, the band needs to know that those people are putting their time in as well, because the core members of the band come every week and they play all the gigs and they play all the contests, and they know kind of every single little solitary thing that's going on in the medley and MSR. And then, to have people who are new come in, and not knowing what that adds to the sound, it's like, it can be sticky. So it's like, it was another added challenge of like making sure I was keeping all the guest musicians and the people who are kind of new to the band honest with their contribution, and making sure that they were up to par with what they were contributing.
Do you find your band members that are local question that? Or do you over communicate to make sure that they don't question that? Like, what's your strategy there?
Yeah, I mean, we're very transparent. I think it's like, we had an open just conversation with them. Like, look, here's what the plan is for the Scotland roster, and here's who's planning to play, who we're planning to have in the core, or both the pipe core and the drum core, to kind of bolster up the numbers and beef up the sound. And like, basically it's like, we know these people are going to be positive contributions to like both our performances. So, here's what's going on with them. They're, we're having rehearsals with them X amount of times per week. And like, I was, exchanging recordings and like going to have rehearsals on my own with them. And so, I think that at that point in the history of the band, I had built up like, a certain amount of trust with people, knowing that I wouldn't put the band in a position that was going to be detrimental. And so it's like, trust me, like, we're going to make this work, and it's going to be a positive thing for everybody. It's not going to be, we're not just bringing these people in just for funsies. Like, they're going to be a positive addition to the sound. And, it's like when you're going to compete at the World Championship, like, you need to kind of bring in people that are in your area that, like, even though they're not part of your organization, like, that they're talented and they can pull it off and they can learn the material, and kind of gel with the rest of the band. So if I didn't think those people could do it, I definitely wouldn't have approached them to begin with.
Hit the bell. So this brings us on to our weekly segment of Fuck You, Fusco.
Wait, what? This is new. I can't wait to hear what this is all about.
But here, okay, track my logic here.
I'm with you.
Because we had a situation. I remember we were bringing in some people from out of state for the Las Vegas games in 2019.
Yes.
And not fucking ringers by any means. Well,
No.
Tim's kind of a ringer, but he didn't really know the music that well.
One person.
Like, we knew we were playing for Sheets. We knew we didn't have a drum corps.
Yeah, we had no drum corps. I was not a ringer.
And we just had people that were friends. I mean, Ozzy came from Australia, like Tim came down, like, and it was mostly like people that just wanted to jam with the band and hang out and gel with everyone. And I don't feel like the rest of the band got on board, and I don't know if that was a communication error on our part as leadership or what. But like, people are like, "Who the fuck are these people?" It's like, they're friends of, they're your friends too. You just don't know it yet. Like,
I would. My recollection of was that was the case. That people were like, "Who the fuck are these two?"
And why are we getting cut and they're not? It's like,
well,
they can
okay,
fucking,
that's a whole different thing.
they can fucking play the
They're
music.
better
Like,
players, but okay, but
Get good.
Get good.
Exactly. But
Episode title.
we definitely get good.
GITGUD. Get good.
No, we definitely had that problem, and I wonder, like, but Trevor Trevor and I are very different, right? Big time.
Yes. How much do you want me to insult you in my
Go
description?
for it. I don't care. Like I highly respect Trevor. Great guy. Very good pipe major as far as, like, I mean, he's won the worlds, right? Like, what else could you ask for, right? So, but we brought in people who wanted to play with us because of Channeret, right? They were friends of ours through this show.
Absolutely. It was only through the show. And
And
they're
it
like,
didn't
hey, we want
hurt
to come to
us.
Vegas and hang. I was like, well, we're playing for sheets, and like, we want to come anyway.
We don't care, yeah.
Yeah.
And it only helped, but there was definitely. So this is the thing I'm thinking about, Trevor. Is like there's definitely a jealousy factor versus of the people that are local that are there every week versus the people that they could get to fly in and just crush it.
Just do it.
But
yeah.
that's their ability is they can fly in and crush it. Like, what do you say to
I mean,
that?
do you
Like,
think
how
anyone,
do you handle that?
No
I
one
don't
felt
know.
that way about us. Like, when we flew in, like, we were
Well,
middle of the pack.
we were middle of the pack.
Yeah. It was like,
Nobody. I felt no jealousy. I felt.
I remember
no
we flew
disdain.
in. First contest was medley. I didn't know it. You played, so I did, and I
Right.
just like did video and photos and stuff, and held
but I felt
17 water bottles and tuners.
I felt no disdain.
And then
From
like
anyone.
everyone quit after that.
No, there was like two guys that quit.
Yeah, but they
that
didn't
was
have
a whole
numbers.
different. That was a whole different
Like
thing.
I remember they didn't have numbers after that. It's like I'm here for 4
This
more
is a way.
weeks.
That's a
like,
way more complicated thing. That's
But
not,
no,
nothing to do with
no,
this.
it has nothing to do with this. But it comes into it's like, dude, just play music and have fun. Like at the end of the day, yeah, this is a person who came here to play music with you. Why are you being a cunt about it?
Right.
Like just enjoy it.
I think from the perspective of the pipe major, the goal is clear, and like the upper hand, like what you gain out of that is very clear. It's like you're bringing someone who you know is going to be reliable, and you know that they're going to deliver the product that you've asked for, but it does put people on edge, and you know, it's like if you put yourself in their shoes, it's like you kind of do. It's like, you know, why is this person being able to come in and like not have any rehearsals? That's like we made it a point to have anyone who was playing with us at the Worlds, like they had to attend like at least a couple weekend rehearsals in the park, because it's just like I want everyone to see that like these people are putting in the time, they know the material, like they can stand next to you and they can play and they can adjust their blowing and they can gel with all of the unison playing that we've been working on locally. So
And it's
you know,
not
it's like-
it's not Dad's second family. Dad still loves you too, but like you know.
exactly.
This is.
But
But that's
this
the
is
thing.
but this is your stepbrother, and I want you to play nice in the circle together.
But it strikes me in that kind of thing that everybody in an organization has to ask themselves, am I in this for the good of the organization or just for me? And if you're like, well, yeah, they're coming in and they're doing a great job, and I'm not pulling it off right now, and I got cut, and I'm mad about that. Like, well, you know, do you think you should play and mess it up for everybody because you want to do it, or are you, you know, out for the good of the organization and wanting to be a part of it? You know,
Well, that's the great.
It comes
the
with
grand,
experience.
The grand like curse of piping is like many people one, they're not self-aware enough to know that. So like they're assuming, hey, these people came in and they're my friends, so I'm gonna let them play no matter what. Like no. Like, but they
Also,
get,
cut your ass.
like if they get cut, you get cut. Like it's all for the betterment of the organization. But maybe you didn't earn that trust. I don't know. Like maybe they don't know that.
Port Rush, I tried to cut myself.
No, that's a whole different thing.
Like it's like, but like no, like you gotta. If you haven't, I would say this: if you have never had the conversation where you're like, I'm having a bad fucking day, I should not be out there.
But
because
many people don't have that ability.
Because me being out there will drag everyone else the fuck down. Like
many people, let's say you're having a bad day,
and that's coming from
Trevor
me.
Cuts
I'm the most
and then you go
egotistical
on a
prick
fucking
on the planet. Like,
hold on, if you're having a bad day, you're playing in Trevor's band, and he cuts you, and then you go on a fucking Facebook rant because my pipe major's a dickhead or whatever. Like, this has happened. It's happened.
oh
right?
no, it happens
Like
all the fucking time.
Do you
like,
trust your pipe major to make the right decision? And if not, you're in the wrong fucking
and also
place.
like you're not cohesing. Like you're more focused on your own personal success than anything else. Because like, when I get cut, I'm like, okay, so I'm not playing, right? And like, yeah, I'm like, what do you need? Like, you want me to grab some waters? You want me to take some pictures?
Right.
Like, you want me to tape the fucking performance?
Right.
Like, you're still part of the team, man.
Well, but not everybody thinks that way. Many
Right.
people don't think that way, actually. So this is what's interesting. And Trevor maybe hitting on a point, and Joe Brady talks about it all the time, is he is intentionally creating a culture of people that don't act that way, which is really, really
by
important.
firing motherfuckers.
By just not letting them in the band in the first place.
Smart way to do it.
Yeah.
And keeping it small. I don't know how they succeed by keeping it small, but either way, it does work.
So we have another question. This is for Aaron.
Uh-oh.
This came through the audience, and they say, if you were stuck on a raft in the ocean and there wasn't enough food for all of the Wicked Tinkers to survive, who would you drown and why is it CJ?
Well, I'll tell you this. First off, if we had to eat one of us, it would definitely not be Tiki. Because I think he's gone bad.
He's expired.
Yeah, he's a little gammy, as they say.
Tiki's well past the sell-by date.
Yeah. I'm. Yeah, it might be. It might have to be CJ, but I think Turk would be good eating.
That's true. But could you take him though? Even 3-on-1, I don't think y'all could take him. He's a big boy.
No, if he gets roused.
Like, I wouldn't 3v1 Turk.
No, he's slow to anger, but yeah, we'd have to sneak up on him.
he could never see it coming.
Yeah. No, if we lost the advantage of surprise, we'd be done for.
Yeah, because that's a big old Viking dude, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question came through, and we'll start with Trevor. How do you feel about about the goddesses of bagpipes? Are they good for us or bad? I'm assuming us means piping in general.
It's like I think it's so weird because it's like in the grand scheme of musicians, like I feel like the pipe band world is often like labeled by classical musicians as like this thing that's not as prim and proper as classical musicianship is, and like being in an orchestra or something. And then you have that, like, if you zoom in one level deeper, it's like the world of competitive pipe band, as we know it, like with the worlds and MSRs and medleys, like then there's this like other like, stereotype of like anything that's not that is not like prim and proper, and it shouldn't be paid attention to. Obviously that's clearly not the case. I think a huge example of that is the Wicked Tinkers, who I think were a huge reason that I started piping. I mean, I still have my Hammered CD in my CD wallet, like, I mean, as a high schooler. So, I think that like there's a different place for bagpipes in general. Like there's different realms of bagpiping, just like there's different ways you can play a violin. It's like you can play a violin like in an orchestra and first chair, and then you can also play jazz on a violin, and then you can also play, violin like pop music on a violin. I don't know. It's like I think that there's room for more, and I think that there's a lot to learn from people like the goddess of bagpiping and like the Wicked Tinkers with regards to just music, as we do get so caught up in technicalities like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's like I think Inverary has been successful at implementing a lot of musical like elements to their medleys that aren't traditional. That is like great to hear, because it's like it's not just the way it's been played 100 million times, and like it's not the exact same way. It's like let's not try to replicate the exact same way it's been played by 1,000 bands. Like let's add some flavor and some music that makes it more fun to listen to.
So Aaron,
Yeah.
Switching over to you, same question with the caveat of how do you feel about the Wicked Tinkers and Inverary being compared to the goddesses of bagpiping?
I have so many thoughts on this, but
First, if we got as many hits as the goddesses of bagpiping on YouTube, I'd be happy about that.
wear a
And-
shorter skirt, Aaron.
I'm about to say put Tiki in a bikini, man.
There you go,
Like,
dude. Just be a hot chick and you'll be fucking golden.
Put Tiki in a bikini, and he'll be fine.
Oh, good God, man! I think you curdled my milk there. But also being at the same time being lumped in with Inverary is also lovely. So
Yeah, that's
I would
amazing.
say,
Oh my god.
I'll tell you, years ago, Jimmy Young, who I used to teach with at the summer school and was a great friend of mine, and of course a fantastic piper, he said that he really appreciated what we did, which was great for me to hear at the time because this was years ago, because he felt like we were bringing people in.
Right. Yes.
And I have my own beef with, like, it. I laugh at myself sometimes because I'm not a big fan of what is it?
I've done that shit for money. I'm not shy.
But and bands, unnamed bands playing, Don't Stop Believing and stuff like that. It's part of it is because it's not tunes that I like. But I'm in some ways I'm weirdly traditional. But at the same time,
So you're not wearing underpants
like,
right now.
I get a laugh out of hardcore traditionalists who say, "Oh, that's Star Wars. Don't play that. That's ridiculous. Don't play that. That's not a bagpipe tune. All right, let's play Amazing Grace, Green Hills, and When the Battle's Over." None of which are freaking bagpipe tunes.
Right.
Popular music has, on the one hand, we get denigrated because we're not real musicians.
Oh,
And I could
We
tell
get it from all
loads
sides.
of stories about that. And then on the flip side, it's like, well, we can't play that piece of music because it's not a bagpipe tune. Well, if we're real musicians, we should be able to play whatever music we want to on the bagpipe.
Sure.
As long as it fits. I do get annoyed when people try to play Star Spangled Banner and change keys 4 times and stuff. But
Pasadena.
What
Scots.
if what if you're playing the Star Wars theme, but you're blowing like a cunt and you're doing it on a unicycle?
there is that. Hey, it's not easier to breathe than that Darth Vader helmet, man. Come on.
Yeah, he hasn't responded to my request to have him on the show, but I'm still working on it.
Him and Stephen McWhorter are our biggest gets.
That's that dude.
Well,
Stephen,
now that we
Stephen
got Aaron.
McWhorter.
Now
Stephen
we got
McWhorter's my fucking white whale. We get him. That's gonna be the last episode.
We're quitting after that.
We might all be playing in a Darth Vader mask soon, so I guess.
Oh, that's.
I think
for sure.
Aaron makes a good point though. Like I like the concept of it. Well, if you're a real fucking musician, you can play whatever. I think more importantly, one of the things that I enjoy about that band is like just play what you want to play, as long as you're doing it well.
Just do it
Right.
well.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. I mean, like no one, what would you call it? Mud people music,
people
Tribal-
that dance in the mud. I don't know.
tribal Celtic music.
Yep.
Like that shit. There's a level of execution there that can get lost in the fact that everyone's having a good time,
Right.
and if they don't know any better, then they kind of miss out on the execution. But that's 4 incredibly talented musicians. I'm including CJ begrudgingly, but but it's four very talented musicians, and so it's like if you're in the know, you listen. Like if you're not in the know, you slide in the mud and whatever Fusco's talking
Dance
about
in the mud.
Utah.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
But like if you're in the know, you listen to it and you're like, holy shit, like that slaps, and they're doing it right. Like I mean, those are fucking handmade drums for the most part. Like that shit's crazy cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's so much to go down that road, but I don't think we've got the time. But it is interesting. And Aaron, who is one of those guys, and I remember many times at the Flagstaff school, because I actually attended the one in Carlsbad back in like 2003 or something like that.
Yep.
And then Flagstaff 2009 for a few years. But like Bruce always introduces Aaron as one of the guys that brings people to piping, which is always a good thing. Like if you bring people, it's only going to add innovation because some guy might be the next Gordon Duncan or fucking Robert Watt or Stuart Little or whoever it is. You don't know.
Well, and I didn't see, like, I mean, you know, like the closest thing I can think of that wasn't based here in the States would be like Fred Morrison maybe. And like I didn't hear a fucking Fred Morrison CD until I was well into piping.
Well past.
Yeah, like well into it. But he also kind of has that like nah, we're gonna rip this shit. Like
Yeah. Fred's great.
But then you also got the problem where like somebody's like, hey, they come to you like, I have a practice chanter that I bought in Pakistan and I want to play fucking Wall Up the Cat or whatever fucking goddamn thing I want to play Don't Stop Believing because the Chili Pipers.
I want to play Star Wars at my dad's funeral. How do I do it?
And you're like, fuck hell. My dad's funeral's in 2 months, and I want to play it on the pipes.
Yeah, I want to play Star Wars on the pipes for my dad's funeral because I saw a guy on a unicycle do it.
Fucking hell. I mean,
I got a unicycle teacher, and now I got the bagpipe teacher. I think I'm going to pull it off.
I can make this happen. We can all do this together.
The easiest way to do it is to close your garage door and start your car. Don't forget to crack the window.
Oh, my God. So...
So we do have to wrap up pretty soon. We gotta let these gentlemen go.
Yeah,
so we have some rapid fire stuff, and this gets back to the topic of America. Fuck yeah, as far as piping is concerned, because we were having too much fun with you guys, and hopefully you had fun too, and we'll get you back.
Because America, fuck yeah.
Is there an eagle outside? Jesus.
Yeah, America. So let's get to those rapid fire questions.
So I have 3 questions, and I'm gonna call them out as I go. Starting with Trevor, what do you think is the most underrated aspect of American pipers and bands?
I think the most underrated aspect of American pipers and bands is like the different walks of life that everybody comes from, because like it's not part of our culture again. So it's like cool to see like. Just it brings people from all over the place.
Yeah.
Aaron, same question.
I thought that was a great answer. It's very true. It's like there are all like economic strata, and the one thing that kind of binds everybody together in piping is that they're all some form of nerd in America. So
yes, absolutely correct.
We're not cool? Shit, I thought we were cool.
We're the coolest of the nerds, which is like really not very.
We're king of Nerd Mountain. All right, so our next rapid fire question, starting with Aaron. If you gave an award to the person doing the most for piping in America, who would it be and why?
We're so upsetting the Canadians right now, but we keep saying America, and I guarantee you they're all fucking fired up.
Guess what, guys? My friends in Banda de Gaitas, Mexico, and my friends in Canada, we're talking about the U.S. of A.
The most important part of America. Because hold on.
See, this is why his sound.
Sorry, I wasn't on that screen.
So, Aaron, if you gave an award to the person doing the most for piping in America, who would it be and why?
Good God. I would award it posthumously to Seamus McNeil for starting the summer schools.
You sure you don't want to give it to Josh and Andy?
That's definitely runner-up.
We're runner-up.
We're runner-up to Seamus McNeil, a legend in piping. But fair enough.
It's like all my girlfriends have told me you were my second pick.
But Seamus McNeil gets a lot of denigration.
Say that again. Sorry.
Seamus McNeil gets a lot of people are anti-Seamus because they feel like he was uptight and hidebound and stuff, and he was. But he was a proselytizer for the bagpipe, and the whole summer school movement started with him, and it's still going on.
Yeah,
we just did the Zoom school, just finished it last weekend.
More successful than ever. Yeah, you did. How did that go, by the way?
Why does it cost the same if you don't get to be in person?
No, it was cheap. It was what?
I'm sure it's cheaper.
$1.25, man. $1.25.
That's pretty good. Cheap. How'd that go though? Like, how do you? I mean, I teach on Zoom all the time.
It was surprisingly good. We kept the classes to like no more than 6.
Okay.
We had a variety of good teachers, and the Zoom worked pretty well, and we had the best of all, I think, in addition to all the teaching and everything as usual, the camaraderie was there. There was a lot of hanging out.
I cannot believe you're going to get teachers for a summer school if they don't get to have their like Rumspringa.
But the best thing about that is, and especially in Carlsbad, is you don't have to do that fucking Verschiggene goddamn concert, right?
No, well, yeah, it was great to not have to do that.
That's the
but
one
we still
thing.
had pub night. We still had pub night.
Did
People
you?
who wanted to play
Nice.
played their pipes and drums.
That's what we do. We do that every Friday on the fucking dojo.
And they saved money on Plan B. Same question, Trevor. If you gave an award to the person doing the most for piping in America, who
Other
would it
than
be
Josh and
why?
Andy. Other than Josh and Andy.
Other than you guys, I mean, it's tough. I think I have two answers. I think one, like the first is the like very general answer of like anyone who's teaching kids to play bagpipes and drums, like is like those are the real people who are like creating the future of like what we know today as like our hobby and like our craft. And so that's like my very overarching general answer. But it's like I think going back to like the accessibility thing, like I think the Andrew Douglas and the Piper's Dojo stuff is great, and I think he's made it very accessible to like have everyone, like to provide resources to like anyone that needs it, like, and that's great. I think it's something like going back to little Trevor in high school, like wanting to kind of learn correctly and like
God, Trevor,
have those resources at my fingertips.
If you and I,
That's a
like
good point, yeah.
I started learning in 2000, 2001. If I had the fucking Piper's Dojo back then, I would be a beast.
Instead of poor Danny.
Instead of just fucking poor ass me.
I learned at the same time, so we
Yeah.
started at the same time.
I know, man.
So what Trevor's saying is, what's your excuse
Because
for
I'm
not being a grade 3B champion, 3A champion?
Because I'm a shit human being. That's
3B
champion. 3B. Goddamn, get it right. It's 3B champion, but soon to be 3A.
Okay, so our next rapid fire question goes to Aaron first. How do we get jobs with the Wicked Tinkers?
Yes. Have you seen me play drums? Because I'm sure I could win CJ's job.
Well, first up, we always need fluffers.
Hey, if they don't mind a little bit of beard and stash,
My beard is very soft. I use a product.
If they don't mind a little ball bumper, Fusco, you're in.
Is that my internship? Like I got to be the fluffer? That's my internship.
Yeah. How did you start playing with the Tinkers? Well, I started as ball bumper.
Hey, how do you think DJ got started? Come on. Sadly, the entree used to be merch. It used to be if you sold merch, if you would come and sell merch, that was your entree. Because CJ sold merch and then he was in the band, and Tiki sold merch and then he was in the band, and Turk sold merch and then he. But we don't sell any merch anymore, so that's not so much a help. I guess you just.
That's okay. We don't sell any merch anymore either.
That's all right. We have a business idea for you, Aaron.
You want to franchise? Is he thinking?
Oh, let's go. Let's give him our idea.
Okay. What's the pitch?
So here's the pitch, Aaron. Listen. You can't do this forever. You're 60 years old, for fuck's sake.
Right.
Like,
I know. No.
So the only way to retire appropriately, because I'm sure as a professional musician, your savings are shit. But
that right.
Well, the savings are all poured right back into that van.
Franchise rights, brother. Franchise rights.
I know.
So
I've been thinking that. I've been thinking we got a franchise.
Here's our proposal: the Ticket Winkers, starring Josh and Andy.
The Ticket Winkers.
Ticket Winkers. So you sell the rights.
No,
we'll buy the rights.
Call it Tinker's Vegas.
I don't have a didgeridoo, but I can get access to a large cardboard tube that a roll of carpet went on.
Listen, I will find somebody that can circular breathe like a motherfucker. This is Vegas after all. There's a
Fusco,
bunch of
we don't
people
need
that
to. We don't need to talk to your ex-girlfriends this soon, pre-quarantine. All right.
Listen, those girls have earned the right
They
to be
breathe.
CJ.
They breathe through their ears.
Ticket Winkers, Las Vegas.
Hey,
no, seriously.
It doesn't have to be an exact copy, as long as it's got the people dancing in the mud feel. And
as long as Aaron gets his 25%, he doesn't
matter.
give a fuck.
Listen, you're gonna be sitting home,
That's
brother.
right.
You're gonna be like you and Lisa are gonna be like sitting in a big chair, like big leather chair, like.
I like it.
The Ticket Winkers, man, they're out there fucking earning. They're good earners.
They're good earners, those boys.
That's right. Bringing in. Yep. We got the Atlantic City.
He's a good earner, this motherfucker right here. You're just rolling in the dough. All you got to do is sell the rights to the Wicked Tinkers. I can
like the way you're
probably
thinking.
learn to play banjo breakdown, maybe and spin at the same time.
We
We've done it.
We
We
did
stole
it,
their
we did
bit
it.
once.
Game of Drones, we stole the banjo breakdown.
Remember
bit,
the time
100%.
that the Wicked Tinkers came to the Scots, the January's, what is that called? The Robbie Burns thing.
Yeah, the Burns dinner.
And then you and I played first, and we stole her act. Very intentionally, we stole her act. We did the whole spin thing. Oh,
I still have the picture of us sitting on their laps.
Oh, it's a great picture. What a great picture.
Yeah, I remember that well, sadly. Well, you know what I could do? This gives me a new idea. I could start, like, instead of Trump University, I could start my own, like Wicked Tinkers boot camp, where you come in, like pipers come in and they learn all the tunes, and then if you pass like through the levels, then you can buy into a franchise.
That's a great idea.
I think.
Oh, okay. So you're not talking about a pyramid scheme. You're talking about an uninverted triangle scheme.
Yeah, a multi-level
marketing,
multi-step,
multi-level marketing,
step way. Yeah.
Also, we have a great set of Wicked Tinker steak knives. We can give.
It's all about.
That's second place.
Listen,
First,
George Lucas made a fortune off the marketing. Let me tell you.
I gotta say, guys. So we have to cut the episode. But if you guys are willing to hang out for a little bit, we'll do so after the show. If that's cool with you, completely voluntary, unlike most of Fusco's sexual conquests. But I just want to go around the table. We'll do last word. I'm going to do probably, just because it's counterclockwise to me, probably do Fusco, Trevor, Aaron, me. So let's start with you, man.
So my last words are this. 1, America, fuck yeah, because we're the best.
Eagle noise.
Hold on. Eagle noise. America, fuck yeah. Exactly. All the Canadians and Australians are losing their shit right now, which is great. But I want to thank Aaron and Trevor for coming on. Arguably two of the best American proponents of piping in the United States.
Not
of
even
America.
arguably, I would say.
And Joe Brady's in there.
Plus, I just want to, I want to keep.
Andrew Douglas is
I
in that
I want to keep
list.
fucking with Doogie till he sends me our sign up check for the last ad. So.
Well, yeah. But Andrew Douglas is in there. Piper's Dojo's up on the list.
I'll suck
Brady.
I'll suck his dick in my speech. You can.
City of Chicago pipe band's in there. Aaron, and Trevor for sure. So
captains of industry.
Absolutely. Trevor, who is the premier pipe major of all American pipe bands, the last American band to win the Worlds
ever,
because
there's never going to be another one.
It may never happen again. We never know, because Joe Brady certainly won't do it. But
the next World's going to be in Raleigh.
That would be that's the only way they'll win. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming on. It was amazing. You guys are awesome. Both hugely influential. Aaron, absolutely hugely influential to American pipers. Trevor, you inspire me as a pipe major. I want to be a better pipe major because of you. I just don't have the same.
I'm about to say, will you do it?
No, I don't have the same charm. Trevor is charming, and I am not. But I respect you, and I appreciate it, and thank you for coming on.
All right, going to Trev. Last words. Also, what's your favorite nickname? Because I've given you like 7. I've done like Trevor, Trev, Takahashi. Like I've gone across the board. What do your friends call you?
I don't know. I mean, like, you can call me whatever you want, Josh. But I mean,
do not do that. Yeah, can't you?
I think most people call me Trev, but or Trevor. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys for having me again. You're probably bored of me by this time.
Are you kidding me? We're gonna have you every week, bro. It's too much fun.
You're our new third.
We'll have Aaron every week too. We just won't be able to announce it until 5 minutes beforehand.
Correct, because Aaron won't respond. Oh, we got to tell that story. Right. But anyway, go ahead.
That's the last minute.
I don't know. Like, with regards to American piping, I think there's so much talent and potential. Like, I think it is quite underrated. Like, and I think it just takes like, everyone in those bands, like, just to commit to knowing that they can be like better and like to hold themselves to that standard and just push forward. I don't think it's like it has to be like we're never going to be as good as like the people in the UK because we're from
no
America
one's going to be
we
as
don't
good
have
as
the
Costco.
same opportunities and the same like learning and whatnot. So I think it's just you're going to have to make that decision to like really just work for it.
All right, Aaron, last words, brother.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on. It's great to share the time with Trevor. It's great listening to your thoughts on things, and I've enjoyed watching the arc of the Pasadena Scots over the years. And I would say if I have one piece of advice to give anybody, it's just listen to good playing. Listen to good playing. It's all out there. It's more available than it's ever been. You know, if you don't have the time to play, listen.
What Aaron is saying is, don't listen to the Goddess of Bagpipes. Listen to Inverary.
Don't listen to the 17th time you've been shared the Unipiper video.
Do not listen to
Listen
Unipiper.
to Angus MacDonald.
Angus MacDonald. Fucking go listen to Stuart Little, Angus McCall.
So I have a pitch here. Here's my pitch. Can we put on the Chanter Rant YouTube?
Yes.
A weekly playlist of Aaron's picks of like
Ooh.
this is what you should be listening to.
Aaron's picks of what you should listen to be a good piper. That would be actually pretty good because
That'd
we
be
could
fun,
always
right?
Because
Yeah.
one thing we could do, Aaron,
Or
is
we could
always,
do a Spotify playlist. People are more Spotify, but
whatever it is. But yeah, because Aaron is a teacher, like that's his main income, I assume. We will always land it back to you because Aaron was highly inspirational to both of us. We highly appreciate what he does, and fuck it.
yeah, I would say my final thoughts are just I agree with all of this panel. I can see all three of you. Fusco can only see me, but
we are the most amazing panel of all time.
Yeah, I agree with all y'all. Like, I think that there's something to be said for one, the work ethic. You know, Trevor, you talked about that. Like, you got back, especially back in the day. Nowadays, there's more resources available, but back in the day, it was a little bit harder. You had to want
You had to work for it.
You had to want it, and I think that's kind of one of the things that sets American piping aside from everything else is like, dude, it's not ingrained. You don't get it in school. It's not just something that you're beaten down with. Like, you have to fucking seek it out. You have to drive fucking 8 hours to a contest. Like, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that in most cases our bands want it more. I think that Aaron has an excellent point that there's a little innovation that happens here. And as much as I hate to say it, like, yeah, you know, we're going to be, I think, now that we have a more decentralized system when it comes to piping and contests, etc., I'm interested to see how the landscape shakes out in 21 when people realize that paying $30,000 to go to the Worlds doesn't necessarily make you the best.
No, there's other options.
But I love all y'all. I'm very excited to have you, and if you guys are willing, we'll chat for a bit after we end the stream. Fusco, play us out, bro.